welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited to see what the runes have to say for this week ahead. And of course, before we get started, they're doing some construction next door, so if you hear little thumps and banging, it is probably that. Probably them just doing whatever they're doing next door. But yes, so before we get started, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the astrological energy that we'll be working with this week ahead. Now, I know a lot of you may be aware that we are heading towards a Pisces moon coming up at some point this week. I didn't check the exact dates, so forgive me for that. But we'll be working through that energy, and also what I do want to focus on is that we have a really powerful conjunction between Venus and Neptune. And that's going to be happening this Wednesday. I believe they're going to be meeting each other in 24 degrees Pisces, which is pretty cool. So that's like the end of the Piscean journey, which is getting to a space of deeper understanding of the mystic unification of the universe around us, which is kind of cool. But Venus being the planet of love and the planet of our relationships and the ways that we relate to other people, and Neptune being the planet of mysticism, of spirituality, of dreams. I also see Neptune, or I've experienced Neptune, as a space of passion as well as a space of chaos, which is not always a bad thing. It just means that Neptune has a very powerful energy that can move quickly through the vicissitudes of time, right? It's very similar to the Greek cognate of Neptune, which is Poseidon, right? So this earth shaker, this powerful energy that's associated with movement, with change, with quick transition. The sea can change at any moment. It could be sunny 1 second and then it could be storming the next. So having those two conjoin each other is going to bring a lot to the forefront of our relationships. Larger questions around how do our ideal versions of love, our ideal versions of partnership and relationship translate into the physical reality? How do the expectations that we have about our partnerships, the expectations that we have about our relationships, or even the expectations that we have about ourselves, how do they translate into our daily practices or into the kind of goals that we are setting for ourselves? It's a understanding of the three different principles of fantasy, of imagination, and of reality, and how they all interact with each other to create an ideal version of the kind of connections that we want to foster in our life. So there's going to be questions about sexuality rising up this week. There's going to be questions about deepening partnerships or clearing up any kind of confusion in partnerships, whether they are business related or romantic. So it's going to be a powerful conjunction, in my opinion. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about that, just because I think it's important. Let's see. This guy almost went the other way. Okay, got it. So let's get to it. I'm excited to see. It's a rather sleepy Sunday here in New York. So if you are feeling a little sleepy, of course take a rest if you can. But yes, I'm recording this on Sunday, and of course it'll be released on Monday, tomorrow, to give you that week ahead energy. Okay, let's see. It. Okay, so for some of us, we may actually be moving this week, or moving spaces, which is kind of neat. Whether you are in the process of a move, or are considering a move, or are looking for job opportunities or experiences that are outside of the normal spaces that you usually frequent, there's going to be a lot of movement this week, or a lot of movement that doesn't have to be physical movement, but it could also be emotional or spiritual movement, right? But what I'm seeing here, because the first rune that came out was Raido, and Raido is the rune of the wheel. It's the rune of motion, right? It's the kind of whoosh, going very quick into the next phase of life. It also, what I'm hearing is that the wheels are turning, right? Whether those are the wheels of fate, the wheels of destiny, or perhaps even the wheels of your mind, right? I think this week is going to be a very great week for inspiration, especially for creative inspiration. For those of us who are in school, or who are learning new practices, or who are at university, wherever it is, because this is a general reading, so take what resonates, of course. What I'm hearing is that this week is a lot about getting the wheels in motion, right? Getting new ideas, new thoughts, new perspectives on the kind of things that you're working on. I feel that a very specific message for someone out there, if there's a project that you're working on, whether it's a creative project, something to do with writing, maybe an essay or a book that you are working on, there's going to be a new avenue for one of your characters, which I think is really cool. So give that space and time for that character to develop, because you'll be surprised as to the road it takes you down. So that's a very specific message, but yes, a lot of movement this week. For those of you who are actually moving spaces, it is a very beneficial thing that I see. So for the beginning of this week, from Monday into Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of movement, or a lot of preparation for movement. And then as we head along further into the week, I see here Isa, which is the rune of ice, or the rune of stillness. I like to say the rune of stillness. And what I like about that is that we have a lot of movement, a lot of wheels turning in the beginning of the week, a lot of this kind of, like getting new inspiration, new thoughts, new feelings, all these different things. And then suddenly, ice. It's kind of like you get there, you get this new inspiration, you get this idea, and you have to let it rest, you have to let it sit. What I'm hearing is that you can't when you watch water, it tends not to boil. You have to like leave it off. I know that's a very like unique phrasing, a unique saying here in America. But yeah, like watching water, it's not gonna boil. But if you leave it alone and you let it rest, then it's going to pick up energy, and it's going to change and transition, and it's going to become something new, which I think is pretty neat. So going into Thursday, Friday, please do take your time to find rest. I think it's going to be very helpful, especially for the weekend, because the beginning of the week I was also feeling very social. So a lot of like social engagements and things, a lot of movement, like I had said. So heading into the later half of the week, into Thursday and Friday, it may be beneficial to take some time off to just chill. Then what I see here towards the far end, so the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, what I see here is we have Ehwas, which I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm excited to see it back. Ingwas, which keeps coming out for us, so those of us on the channel already know that Ingwas is the rune of grounding, rune of staying stable, finding more grounding practices in your life. And then we also have Wunyo, which is the rune of joy, right? So I like this. It feels like this weekend there's going to be a lot to celebrate. There's going to be a feeling of, I think, with all the movement that's happening and all the new inspiration that's coming through, whether it's, again, physical movement from one space to another, perhaps moving apartments, or spiritual or emotional movement or mental movement that involves inspiration, ideas, it involves creativity. Whatever this movement is for you is going to invite us to pause, to reflect, to take our time with how it just came about, right? How everything came to pass. So for example, let's say you move literally from one space to another, and the movers are done, everything's done, you got everything done, you walked into the space, and now you're there, and you're suddenly in this new apartment, and it's like, okay, let me take a breather. And then after that breather, again over the weekend, this joy, this security, and this new beginning. So it feels to me that this weekend is going to be a lot of this sigh of relief, right? This sigh of relief, this kind of, oh, okay, we did it. Like, that helped. So for example, in the earlier example that I had offered with the person that I saw writing a book, like say that you had some writer's block as an example, and this movement happened, and this idea for this character kind of popped into your head like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday you mulled over it, and then over the weekend, right, Saturday and Sunday, you breathe a sigh of relief because it's like, oh, that's what I was waiting for, that's what I needed. So this week has a process that I'm seeing, and it's a lot about trusting that process, trusting the process of creativity, of production, of tapping into relationships or connections, and knowing that there is growth everywhere, right? Everywhere, with every decision, there is growth. So that's what I see for the runes this week ahead. I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, I'll see you guys next week. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to get more weekly rune videos and forecasts for the week ahead. I think it's really fun, and I enjoyed sharing my practice with you guys, and it has been a really lovely time reading these runes for you guys. So I'll see you guys next week, okay? Bye everyone.